Live look now from the U.S. Supreme Court, where justices just ruled on a case challenging Donald Trump's eligibility to run for president again. In a unanimous decision, the High Court ruled the former president can remain on the primary ballots, particularly in Colorado, but that should run the board that he will remain on all ballots. It centered around, of course, Colorado case where that state Supreme Court removed Mr. Trump's name from the ballot over his role in the January 6, 2021 Capitol riots. The timing of decision is key ahead of Super Tuesday tomorrow, which includes Colorado's primary election. So the timing is critical because Colorado is one of 15 states where people will be voting. A lot to sort out today, a lot of moving parts. Current CBS polls showing Mr. Trump with the lead over President Joe Biden, 52-48. And a different poll shows 46% of voters rate the Trump years as good or excellent. 33% gave Biden the same rating. Right now, both campaigns are focusing on the economy, reproductive rights, foreign aid, and the crisis at the southern border. A lot going on. Joining us now is friend of the stream, former head of the Illinois GOP, Pat Brady. Pat, good morning.
Morning.
A lot going on a Monday.
Yeah.
Let's start out of the gate. Breaking news, former president restored on the ballot. The Supreme Court rejecting an individual state's attempt to bump Mr. Trump off the ballot because of his connection to the insurrection. So this should much, I would imagine, clear the table for Mr. Trump across the board. He's going to be on all the ballots.
Yeah, interestingly, that was totally expected. And 9-0 shows that it really wasn't a close call. The thing to me, though, just reading the tea leaves, at least the court appears to be somewhat factoring in the timing of this election, meaning they did this before Super Tuesday, because they've got other cases, the immunity case and some other things coming up that tie into Trump's legal problems. Hopefully the court is at least thinking about the timing of the political calendar, not just their own docket.
Yeah, okay. Nikki Haley just won her first primary, Washington, D.C. Might be an itty-bitty one, but it's a win so far. And she has also said she's not going to toe the forever line of if I don't win the nomination, I will support the nominee. I mean, she's clearly playing a hand. If we're playing poker, she's playing a hand that probably Trump's going to win this thing, but probably Trump's going to get in trouble. Is that how you see it?
That's probably one of two strategies. That's the strategy that she waits and sees what happens with these trials. But even if something happens with Trump and he gets bounced off, it's still going to go to a vote at the convention or party insiders or however they pick the next nominee that would, if it wouldn't be Trump. That's one way. But the other way, I think it's maybe a longer game. She's only 52. The party right now, the Trump party, this is not the traditional Reagan conservative party that Trump represents. It's a complete change. I think she sees that 40% as kind of just a foothold to bring the party back to what it was before, and she can lead that. But I think that she probably has not made very many friends within the MAGA world, and they're never going to stand for her. I saw Donald Trump Jr.'s made comments like that. But she's going to be around a long time. She's very smart. She's very articulate. She's been a very successful governor and ambassador. I imagine that someday she will be the nominee of the Republican Party.
Okay, interesting. You've supported her too and have for a long time.
Well, it's not even her, which I do have just a ton of respect for. It's the Republican Party that I grew up with, which is so far removed from what Donald Trump represents. We don't play footsie with dictators like he does with Putin.
Right.
We support our allies. We're economically or fiscally responsible. So all the things that kind of Trump stands for that don't fit into that, I mean, that's where I am, and that's where a lot of at least in some of these states, 40% of the Republicans are.
Right. So you see this as also a double play by Haley. One short term, see what happens in this, but a long play. That's interesting. So interesting, too, a new poll from Siena College. I mean, you can get polls all over the place, but this was interesting because it said basically most Americans think Biden is not mentally capable. Like 60% think he's not mentally capable to handle a second term, not cognitively there to handle a second term as president. there are also large numbers who said that in the poll about Mr. Trump as well. What does that say, Pat Brady? I mean, 60% of Americans think can you win if you have 6 out of 10 Americans think you're not mentally ready to do the job?
You know, you'd think, but 7 in 10 don't want either of them. So it's kind of a horse apiece on both these parties. But President Biden, you look at him, you watch him move.
Watch his walk.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him 6 years ago at a funeral, actually. He looked like he was 90 years old. I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but that's just the aura he gives off. And Trump, roughly the same age, gets out there and swings a golf club. He just carries the age better. And people look at Biden and they think that he's not up for it. And I think that's legit. But the reality is, for the life of me, people screamed at Republicans like me for not standing up on Trump, which I did. When are the Democrats going to wake up and say, you know what, right today, if this election's held today, Donald Trump's the next president of the United States? Because he's beating Biden in all these swing states. This is going to come down to 5 states, and he's beating.
Trump's winning in all of them.
Yeah. He's winning in all of them. And it's what's the turnaround?
Have you said to your Democratic buddies, what are you thinking? What's your play?
It's the same kind of rationale I heard from some of the Republicans that play along with Trump too. And again, I'm not criticizing anybody when I say that. It's just, come on, guys, wake up. If you guys don't get a better nominee, Donald Trump is the president, and that to me is scary because some of the things that come out of his mouth. Is it the end of the democracy? No, but I don't think we need 4 more years of chaos. And if the Democrats don't put somebody else up, it's odds on that Trump's the guy.
Just going to be getting going. Pat Brady, our thanks this morning.
See you, Brad.